Spanish woman crosses paths with a beagle while traveling to Africa, embarks on an unexpected journey. Travel isn't always pretty. Sometimes it hurts. It even breaks your heart. But that's okay. The journey changes you. It should change you. You take something with you. Hopefully, you leave something good behind. Anthony Bourdain. A job might fill your pocket, but traveling fills your soul. We are always longing for that time of the year when we can take a vacation, get out of our daily routine, leave our jobs behind, and break the monotony by exploring a new place. And what can beat the thrill of last-minute packing? But what counts the most is the experience. Sometimes it's overwhelming, and sometimes it's not as good as we hoped it to be. This story will take you through the ups and downs that a woman experienced during her visit to Zambia, and how rescuing a dog changed both their lives forever. Life can get tough for anyone, and dogs are no exception to it. We all know that dogs are more sensitive and emotional and feel more than any other living being. Ginger was a security dog in her time in Zambia, and at times things would get hard and scary for her. Some of the incidents involved Ginger hiding under the cars on the property out of fear. The dog desperately needed some help, but no one reached out to her until one day. Stuck in the routine in Barcelona, Spain, Sarah Ortín León needed a change for the better. Sarah had always loved traveling to exotic places and exploring different cultures. She planned a trip to Zambia, a country situated in Africa. It is well said that travel makes one modest. You see the tiny place you occupy in the world. Sarah was compassionate towards others and was always willing to offer her help. It was the year 2015 when Sarah flew to Zambia. It was more than just a weekly trip that one usually makes. She stayed there for almost a year, dedicating her time in researching and rescuing chimpanzees at a sanctuary. Sarah had 2 pet dogs of her own in Barcelona, named Eula and Joy. It will be right to say that she was an animal lover. Sarah defines her time in the sanctuary as one of the life-changing events in her life, because it was then she had first met Ginger. The sanctuary was also a home to many other animals, including several dogs. Ginger was one of the many dogs who lived there. You may call it destiny, as Sarah bumped into Ginger when she was there. How can you not love a dog, right? I mean, is there anything cuter when you cuddle them and they lick your face clean? Sarah was a dog person, and it was love at first sight for Sarah. She liked Ginger the moment her eyes caught her. Ginger reminded her of one of the dogs Sarah had in her family in Barcelona, and thus began their friendship. Talk about unconditional love, and a dog will never disappoint you. Ginger, too, reciprocated the love that she had received from Sarah. It was clear as crystal that Ginger couldn't get enough of Sarah, as she would follow Sarah around the place like her shadow. Sarah felt delighted by this gesture of Ginger. It was in no time that they both had secured a place for each other in their hearts. Sarah's time at the sanctuary required her to patrol around the place to briefly study the activities of the chimps, and when she did that, Ginger made sure to accompany her. It was like 10 kilometers, 6.2 miles, there, so we had to walk there and back, Sarah said. It was this long walk that strengthened their friendship. With every day passing, the bond between the two grew deep. No matter how much time they spent together, it was never enough. At night, Ginger would curl up to Sarah and lick her face. Sarah would give her a warm hug and cuddle her up. They would fall asleep together in the bed. It was really, really awesome, Sarah confessed. Sarah had now completed a year living in Zambia. It was time to head back home, return to Barcelona. Sarah had now grown accustomed to Ginger and her company, but she didn't want to act selfishly. She was stuck in a dilemma. She couldn't get enough of Ginger, and her heart wanted to take the dog back with her, while in her head she thought that Ginger would be happier in Zambia. It was a tough decision to make, but Sarah headed back to Barcelona alone, leaving Ginger behind in Zambia. Sarah was back to Barcelona, but still didn't feel like home because Home is where the heart is, and her heart belonged to Ginger, and her family was incomplete without her. I wrote my thesis and thought, I don't want to be in Barcelona anymore, Leon said, so I just bought a one-way ticket to Zambia and left. As soon as Sarah arrived at the airport in Zambia, she headed straight to the sanctuary and started looking for Ginger. But to her surprise, Ginger wasn't there. She had traveled a long distance just to see Ginger, and she wasn't going home without trying. When she inquired, she was told that the sanctuary had a lot of dogs, so the managers had to fix the problem, and they sent the dogs to different homes. It had come to Sarah's knowledge that Ginger was relocated to a mining site as a security dog. Without further ado, she marched straight towards the mining site. She bought dog food on her way and used it as an excuse to get herself in and feed the dogs. She kept looking for long, but there was no clue of Ginger. Ultimately, she asked a local about where the dogs were, to which he replied, "There are no dogs, madam." Sarah was taken aback by what she had heard, as the mining site was the only place where Ginger could possibly be. Was it Sarah's intuition or her never-say-never attitude? She just knew Ginger was there. She strenuously searched the mining site, and her efforts paid off when she caught the sight of the most awaited. And there lay Ginger underneath a car, petrified, as if he had seen a ghost. When Sarah approached to hug her, Ginger didn't move a bit, like she didn't know Sarah. It bothered Sarah, as Ginger had never acted before as she did now. Sarah was caught in the moment and was delighted to have found Ginger. But soon she would realize that Flora was still missing. Flora was Ginger's sister and her companion in the sanctuary. She was also relocated with Ginger to the mine as a security dog. She later found out that she was beaten to death. It was when a thief got onto the site and tried to steal petrol. Flora caught him. She was a brave dog, and she started to bark at him, and the thief beat her to death with a bat. Sarah and Ginger had been distant lately. The separation from Sarah had made Ginger vulnerable, and what followed to the mining site had only worsened things for the poor dog. One could simply look at the dog and tell that she was still under a trauma, as Ginger would give everyone the silent treatment. Sarah couldn't bear the thought that things would have been different if she hadn't left Ginger's side. So she came up with an idea that would heal Ginger and bring her back to life. Ginger was literally in for a ride. Sarah and Ginger sat in the car. They kicked off the first of many travel extravaganzas, and thus began the duo's road trip of Africa. But not much had changed. Ginger was still silent and would act lost towards Sarah's actions. Ginger kept looking out the car's window and would stay mute, Sarah said. As Anatole France once said, "Wandering reestablishes the original harmony which once existed between man and the universe." And who would know it better than Sarah? She had plans to leave for Malawi. She wanted to travel and explore Africa with Ginger. Sarah made up for the things that happened in the past. She wouldn't go home without Ginger and would always tag along with her dog. She didn't have to think twice. It's like wherever she goes, Ginger is with her now. Ginger was still traumatized by what she had experienced at the mining site. Often petrified, she would hide underneath the cars or any vehicle she could fit under. Sarah was worried for Ginger, as there was a possibility the dog could get hit by a vehicle. Fortunately for Ginger, she regained her confidence with time, all thanks to an activity that Sarah and Ginger would participate in. Besides Sarah's love, the one thing that brings a smile to Ginger's face is paddleboarding. Sarah and Ginger would often visit a lake in Malawi. It became their thing. The spot was a tourist attraction, as it was famous for its water sports. Sarah would help Ginger get on the paddleboard, and the duo would paddle for hours. Sarah certainly loved it, and was amused by finally getting to see a smile on Ginger's face. In addition to paddleboarding, the duo also loved hiking in the African woods. There's no side to the jungle they haven't witnessed. The wildlife around helps them in keeping their calm and maintain composure. After a long hike, they often set a bonfire and enjoy the treasures of camping. Sarah reads stories to Ginger, and the regular visits have made them quite popular among the hikers. Ginger often receives a compliment on her smile from the people around. Their lives were definitely more than happening. There was nothing that Sarah and Ginger didn't do to add colors into their lives. The dog, who was once so scared and petrified that she would hide under a car or a truck to escape, would now freely wander in the animal safari in the midst of the lion's roars and moving elephants. Sarah was initially scared and yelled, "Oh God, we're about to die." But to her surprise, the confident look on the face of Ginger assured her, "Don't worry, Mama, we'll be just fine." Sarah and Ginger never stuck in the rut. They always had new adventures coming their way. Trekking mountains, going to the safari, and witnessing lions roar, had elephants approaching them, getting on boats and paddling, rescuing dogs and chimpanzees, educating school kids about treating dogs right, and whatnot. While most of the people would stop here, for Sarah and Ginger, this was just the beginning of the adventures that were about to follow. Besides Ginger, Sarah had a family of her own, who anxiously awaited for her to return to Barcelona. Sarah didn't have to think much this time, and she started packing her bag. Packing is definitely not a task that many people love doing, and to top that off, she had to pack 2 bags, one for her and the other for Ginger. But Sarah pulled it off with a smile on her face, as she was thrilled with the thought of adding another member to her family, i.e. Ginger. Even after moving in with Sarah, it took a lot of time for Ginger to overcome her fear. For about a month, she would hide under any vehicle she could, including cars and trucks. It was bittersweet for Sarah, as she was happy that she could look after Ginger and ensure her safety, but it also broke her heart watching Ginger suffer. It was late but never. Ginger again made to her previous self that she was with Sarah, happy and playful. It took time for Ginger to realize how privileged she was to have a friend like Sarah. Sarah would always tag her along to all the places she would travel to. Sarah made sure that Ginger always felt loved. They would go for long walks, play together, cuddle, and Sarah would read to Ginger that helped the dog relax. While it may seem small, the ripple effects of small things is extraordinary. Traveling with a dog is not as easy, and it wasn't easy for Sarah either. While the heavy expenses can't be ruled out, there is a dozen of restrictions that one has to face while traveling with their dogs. Unlike the West, people in Africa are scared of dogs, and there were certain areas where carrying Ginger became quite challenging. For instance, Sarah had to be extra cautious at the zoo. She had to make sure that Ginger didn't bark at other animals, which is a dog's trait. There are often obstructions while crossing the African borders due to lack of proper documents that could prove that Ginger was not being smuggled. In Sarah's words, dogs are amazing, and she had learned a lot from Eula and Joy, her pet dogs in Barcelona. But it was Ginger who influenced her and changed her for good. She made her wild in a good way and taught her how life should be. She learned a valuable lesson from her experience with Ginger, that life can be happy the same as you want it to be, and she's more than happy with this realization. People in Africa don't think very good about dogs, and they have formed a rigid perception that dogs are dangerous. They often throw stones at dogs or kick them when they encounter them in the streets. But life's problems wouldn't be called hurdles if there wasn't any way to get over them. Sarah and Ginger stood up to the challenge. They started visiting schools and educated the students so they don't fear dogs. A lot of kids interacted with them and gave Sarah and Ginger beautiful memories. For a dog, Ginger had been through a lot in her life, which made her sensitive. Losing her sister and the separation from Sarah, followed by her relocation, had made her compassionate towards others. Ginger is always reaching out to other dogs who are in need of help. For instance, Ginger once spotted a dog in a street, and Sarah didn't see it. Sarah thought it was a cat and asked Ginger to let go as Ginger started to push. However, it did turn out to be a dog who was in need of help. This dog does own a beautiful heart. Ginger and Sarah had the time of their lives in Zambia. They didn't miss out on anything. Once Sarah took Ginger to one of her friends' places there and had a blast. Sarah didn't know at the time that Ginger could swim. It came to her knowledge when Ginger dived right into the swimming pool at her friend's place to accompany Sarah. They had a lot of fun, and they successfully added another adventure to their travel diary. Sarah describes her decision of rescuing Ginger and making the dog her travel buddy as the best decision she's ever made. To say she's happy to make a difference in Ginger's life would be an understatement. No words are enough to describe how happy I am to have been able to bring Ginger's smile back, and she makes me happy too, Sarah said. She's glad that she didn't care about the expenses that came along in traveling with Ginger. It is often said that 2 people is a friendship and 3 is a family. Her arrival in Barcelona gave Ginger a new extended family. In addition to Ginger, Sarah already had 2 other pets, namely Eula and Joy. They were Sarah's family dogs. The gang of 3 got along from the very moment they met. They would play with each other, running wild in the backyard. A family of her own was the best present Barcelona had for Ginger. Ginger has spent the first half of her life in Zambia. For her, life in Barcelona was an all-new experience. Her curiosity to discover her new homeland had filled her with enthusiasm. Unlike her life in Zambia, Ginger gets all the good attention here. She gets adored by strangers walking by on the streets. She loves everything about this place: the fancy cars, tall buildings, the streets. In Sarah's words, she is more than happy here. She stops after every few steps to smell the other dogs, Sarah says. At present, Sarah and Ginger are in Barcelona having fun with their family during the vacations. Their stay here is short as they are planning for a new travel adventure. However, their life is not all travel, fun, and frolic. Sarah's experience with Ginger gave her a new objective in life. After their return to Barcelona, both Sarah and Ginger took up the project of saving other stray dogs like Ginger who are living a miserable life. What's meant to be will eventually happen. They are both happy to be together. She's like my kid, Leon said. Ginger realizes that she's a lucky dog to have been rescued by Sarah. Not every dog gets to travel around the world, and for Sarah, the reunion felt like she had met with a long-lost family member. May they have more adventures and trips in the future to add to their travel diary.